What's going on, YouTube world and YouTube tribe? Welcome to LilBigMan Gaming, bringing you a review for, as the title says, The Flash Growing Pains, which is like episode 7. Also, got a new tripod, so trying to focus. I'm trying to get the angles right. Ignore that sign in the background. Still, we haven't gotten around to actually taking it down. So, but that's what we're here for. First things first is I can get everybody to hit that like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification button so you always know when I drop a new video like this. Also, for those who are subscribed and the new subscribers alike, thank you, love you, appreciate you, because you guys are smart. The new subscribers who are coming to the tribe, you're killing this like button. I mean the subscribe button, also the like button, and yeah, y'all becoming part of the tribe, and we almost there to the goal of 500. And then once we get there, I would give you a new goal. But I did want to say, when I do let I want to ask y'all a question, just one. When I start playing the Nintendo Switch games, do you guys want to see me when I play those games? Yeah, I'm trying to, or do you want me just to keep it at the same format where I've been doing, where you just hear my lovely voice, or do you want to see and hear me? Let me know in the comments down below. But enough of all that. Let's get to why y'all came here. This is season 7, obviously episode 7, called Growing Pains, and you know how I like to do it. I'm going to give y'all a little synopsis of the episode so to set the stage for where I'm breaking down. When a mysterious ice-powered enemy frames Frost for a brutal crime, she must find a way to clear her name. Barry and Iris have a surprise house guest. Joe continues to deal with Kristen Kramer. So this episode pretty much picks up where it left off with, basically, you know, Flash dealing with the new dynamic. Barry, he got a new dynamic in the house now. Now the Speed Force, as Nora, is living with them, and we get to see that is kind of difficult for him. That's what I was looking for, the word difficult. Kristen Kramer basically confronts Joe and tells Joe that they put out a warrant out for Frost arrest, because they had basically, she, you know, from the DA, she was, you know, basically she was there to clean up the streets. So she's been given permission to have this warrant out for her. So she's letting Joe know that she's making her move against Killer Frost. I think one of the things she said that's why she was there to basically clean up the metahuman debacle that they have going on, and part of that is, I think they said it was the apprehensions of or the lack of the actual apprehensions of certain metahumans. But yeah, so, you know, she's telling Joe this, and this sets the mood for the whole episode, because now they're trying to now they gotta work to try to figure out how to clear Frost's name from this current new crime, which was a truck carrying a Pacific piece of chip has been hit, and it looked like somebody it looks like a person with ice powers may have attacked or not may have attacked the convoy stealing this chip. But the new DA, she's like convinced that it's Killer Frost. Like, she won't heed to reason or logic or anything of that sort. She believes it's Killer Frost, and it's just the simple fact that no matter what Barry and Joe and them were saying to her, she wouldn't believe it. So, but she's trying to convince them. She said who else could use ice powers, and she said, and they inform her Frost is not the only person with ice power capabilities, and that there have been other people like Captain Cole and Icicle who also use ice based abilities. I wanted to touch on the fact that the start of the episode too also had this scene with Barry coming home from, I guess he woke up early to go stop this crime, and he comes home to bring breakfast, but he sees that thanks to Nora and Iris, they got like a full spread table of food. And we're starting to figure out that Nora, or Speed Force Nora, is very different from how she was when we last seen her, or how she always appeared to him. She seems more human now. She's more human in the sense, but we see that Barry's awkwardness around her, and we all get why he's awkward. That is no secret in itself, because hey, you're the Speed Force, but you have chosen your physical form to be that of my mother, who is dead, who I wish was alive and I could talk to and have a life with. But now you're in my house talking like her, sounding like her, but I know you're not her. But it's hard for him to like basically grasp around it, and he's just trying to adjust to this new norm. But then his powers go into a flux. He start his speed. He doesn't like super speed around the room, at least not yet. But his hand is super vibrating, and the jar he picked up, like she suggested that he drink some orange juice, and the jar of orange juice that he had, it wasn't like in his glass pitcher, and he's vibrating so much that it exploded, and he was covered in orange juice. And that was another. That's like another. I want to say a little. That's what for the Barry moments of this episode. His little problems was not only dealing with the new norm with the Speed Force, but also dealing with the fact that his powers are glitching. And we find out that his powers are glitching because I think Nora said that she's actually strengthening him and giving him more power than he's used to having. So his I guess his powers are growing thanks to the Speed Force, since she's like around, and she's like his battery, like she physically around him, and that even though she's like this force of nature, as they say that a lot in the episode, she really is like she's this force that can literally she could sit there and have dinner with you, but at the same time, while it don't look like she's doing anything, she could just instantly, just with her mind, give Barry more power. And we do get a sense that there is some type of awkwardness with Barry, and especially being around Nora. But we see that Nora, Barry gets called out to the scene of the crime, which I think I touched on a little bit earlier. That he gets called to the scene of the crime, and Nora, she's like eager. She wants to help Barry, but Barry's like, you know what? Stay here. I got this. I don't think it'd be okay for you to be there with me. But yeah, just I got this. You stay here with Iris and basically eat. So Barry takes off, and that's when we have this whole we have Cecile telling Killer Frost basically what the charges was for her case. And as she's reading off the charges, I think she said like kidnapping, attempted assault, all that type of stuff. They were showing flashbacks to the older episodes in the season, at least when this Earth's Caitlin finally became Killer Frost. They saw like the scene where she kidnapped Julian. I think it was like when she kidnapped Julian, when she assaulted that dude when she was trying to find alchemy, when she almost killed the scientist lady who I forgot her name already, that was in love with HR, who was trying to build a Speed Force cannon. I think they then they sold, like I said, they sold the scene when she attempted to hurt Julian and when she kidnapped Cecile herself. And it was a nice little callback, but that was what she was bringing up charges for. Killer Frost wants to go kick Kristen Kramer's ass, but Chester ends up getting, I think, in the they said Cisco, and we haven't seen not since the mirror Maestro episode, we haven't seen Cisco's girlfriend. God, names are escaping me today, guys. I'm so sorry. Names are escaping me. I cannot remember what Cisco's girlfriend name is at the moment, but they're both not in the episode. I guarantee you, by the time I get to the end of this video, I'm just gonna spontaneously be like, that was her name. But Cisco and his girlfriend are basically not in this episode, but that's because they take it like a little vacation. So Chester P. Runk is the sole tech expert for Star Labs, and he gets his first crime scene expertise call. He's very excited about that, and that's when we get to the scene where they basically there trying to solve who did this. And that's when I think if you've seen the little preview clip, that's when Chester get there. He asked who did this, and they said it was some type of new ice meta, and then it was like a pile of frozen blood chunks and stuff. And they realized that was, they told Chester, yeah, that's the driver, and he almost threw up. But yeah, that's when they try to convince Kristen that it might not have been Killer Frost who did this. So they make Killer Frost, or Frost as she just goes by now. They make her lay low, and Caitlin also convinced Frost to lay low until they can figure out what to do with Kristen Kramer and get her off of Frost's trail. And she reluctantly stays within Star Labs till they can figure it out. But as we know Frost, she's impatient and she's not going to sit still. So her and Allegra, I almost forgot Allegra's name. Her and Allegra basically team up together in not not Batman Robin team up, but they team up basically to find a person who's been framing her. And Frost goes back to some of her old contests and in the Sadie underworld, and she goes back to the bar that she was actually a bartender at to find this new bartender guy who's basically there. I think his name was Mark, and he basically is there. He tells her that he haven't heard anything, like what she was asking for, basically like a new ice meta who was stealing like microchips and tech like that. And he said he haven't heard anything, but then that's where we get this news bulletin with Kristen basically announcing to the world that there's a warrant out for her arrest, and that she, I think it was like $100,000 reward, and somebody basically turn her over and bring her in, which leads to everybody in the bar who saw her come in. They basically surrounded her because they basically want that money, and they commenced to try to beat her up, but Frost is very too much for them. She's very too much, and she basically pummeled them very quickly, except for one. There was one guy who was getting ready to sneak up behind her, but the bartender smashed his head with a bottle. But she told him that he didn't have to do that because she had him. But he was, I guess he was all wet up from the beer splashing on him, and we realized that Frost finally found somebody that she actually kind of liked. And it was funny. They started playing when the dude took off his shirt to reveal his trapezius muscles. Frost was like basically mesmerized, and they started playing Nelly's Hot in Here, and she finally found a little crush she had. Back to Barry though. Barry is still at the crime scene, and he was getting frustrated because of the dark matter isotopes that was within the crystals, trying to figure out how there was dark matter, or why dark matter was here, and he gets frustrated, and the Speed Force just appears out of nowhere, and he's trying to basically get her to leave because she was at the crime scene. She wanted to help, but he's telling her not that she cannot help. But she ended up being useful in this particular scene because she points out to the fact that the dark matter was basically compact into like the frozen ice particles, and that it was weird, and that was weird that it was like that. I think it wasn't supposed to be like that. And Barry pointed out that it shouldn't be compacted like that, but it was. And he basically I got people calling me. He tries to whoosh her away, and he ended up spazzing out again. Now his hands are vibrating, and he shoots off to the races. He's speeding around the control, and ends up smacking into Kristen Kramer's car. We see that part in the trailer where she get out the car like, what the hell, Barry? And he's like, oh, you know what? The perpetrator's footprints led me out here. You know, y'all got this special little doohickey that lets me see the footprints. You know, you only can see it if you got the UV. She was like, huh, very tech savvy. I like that. You know, and I think they even said that Kristen Kramer admires Barry. But yeah, that end up leading Barry to having a fallout with the Speed Force, though. Not that particular scene, but it was another scene where I think if you seen the preview, it was or you see the preview or the little clip they released. It was basically the scene where Chester said that he felt like he got 98 or 65 cents in his mouth because Barry was speeding around the room so fast, and he that fallout because they had this information downloaded on the computer, but it was literally too fast. It was literally going too slow. And they would be there all night. Him and Chester would be there all night. But then the Speed Force showed up trying to help again. But Barry didn't want her to help. That he told, you know, he tried to tell her nicely that him and Chester should be the one to figure it out. But it was you know, thank you for the offer though. But then Chester figured out that since she's like a literal, like she could take a physical form, but she's like a literal force, like energy. Like she's not, her actual form is corporal. She could actually jump into stuff. And he realized that if she jumps into the computer, she could literally speed up the downloading process. But Barry still insists that she shouldn't. That's when he spazzes out and zoomers around the room, but the computer gets destroyed along with the evidence, and that's when he has a big blowout with the Speed Force for basically always being there and causing his glitching problems and stuff. Chester tries to break it up, but you know Barry's still just a little bit too upset. He chewed the Speed Force out, and she basically disappears. I'm starting to like how the Speed Force just appears and disappears, because like she's not really. It looks like she might be super speeding, but she's not. She's actually just phasing away. Like I just realized I didn't realize it till this episode. She's not super speeding away. It's just like she like disappears, almost teleports. And that's confirmed later on in the episode where Barry, he's like, oh yeah, I knew you was there. I could feel you listening to us. We just couldn't, you know. I guess you couldn't see her until she made herself appear. But she could literally I guess you could make herself, because she's a force. They can make themselves, she could make herself invisible until she want to be visible. But yeah, Barry has a falling out. Frost, the dude, I forgot to mention that the dude gave her a lead to where the person stash might be that's been stealing stuff. The new ice meta. She goes to this warehouse but finds it empty, only to realize that Caitlyn's been brought up on charges because they kind of sort of figure out that Killer Frost and Caitlyn look the same. So they accuse her of being Killer Frost, and they brought like a shrink with them because they think that Caitlyn might be psychotic because of the fact that she could like transform into and out of Killer Frost mode. So they think it's like maybe it's a split personality. But they take her to jail. Frost hears about it, and she wants to break Caitlyn out. But Caitlyn doesn't want to be broken out. They convince her. They talk her down until they mention something about being human. And they realize Killer Frost is the first person to realize that the new ice meta is not a meta at all. He's just he's a human using ice abilities. And she figured out who the person is. And while burying them and still trying to catch up to it, and Allegra too. When they I forgot to mention that Allegra, when they call Allegra to confirm, just to check in on Frost, she's lying that Frost is there with her. When in reality, Frost is running the street trying to figure out who the new ice meta is. Joe has a little conversation with Kristen Kramer about the way they went about arresting Caitlyn, because he didn't know that she mobilized the task force unit, and they just went without his knowledge to Caitlyn's house, and then realized till they got to that's who house they was going to, and they arrested her. He talked to her about it, but she said they didn't have time to inform him, and that she gets it that Caitlyn's a friend of family, and that it was probably hard for him to do that. But she said you want to respect your badge and the shield that you represent. That you got to start thinking about the betterment of the people and the safety of the people over your personal feelings. So basically, Caitlyn goes confront this guy Mark at the bar, who she realizes is the person who's been setting her up the whole time. And he reveals that he used to work for the company that made the tech, but they didn't like him because of his the way his inhuman experiments, and that they basically fired him. Forgive me, guys, I forgot what he called himself. I forgot what he called his supervillain name. I'm severely sorry. But I cannot remember what he called himself. But I'm pretty sure it was a comic book accurate name. But he basically reveals that he knew Killer Caitlyn and Killer Frost was the same person. He was the one who set Caitlyn up, and he was the one targeting her. And he sent her to that warehouse on purpose to get scanned so that he could complete his little masterpiece using her powers, which break down to a fight. They both, it was like his ice powers versus hers, and it was like evenly matched until he put her he had her almost in a sleeper hold, telling her that she having all that power and she don't know what to do with it. And she ends up stabbing him. She ends up stabbing herself with one of her icicles to stab him, and that she talks about the fact that you might have her powers, but you're not a meta. You don't have my meta ice healing. So that's how they stop him. But Caitlyn realized, and the police had the place surrounded, and Killer Frost realized she needed to own up to her mistakes, and she turns herself in. And that's pretty much, I think if some other stuff happened, but I'm going to leave it up to the imagination. There is no cliffhanger, so if I give this episode anything, I give it 8 big ups, just because it was a decent episode. I enjoyed it. I left some things out on purpose, but overall it was a good episode. I enjoyed the little thing, the makeup between the Speed Force. But that's all I got. If you hit this button right here, it'll take you to all of my reviews. And if you hit this button right here, you're subscribed to the channel. Now, hit any one of these amazing videos for more amazing content. Chief out. Peace out.